Hello, very good afternoon. This is a online live market session with me, Mohak, and I welcome you all. Very good afternoon once again. And those who are watching this video on YouTube can go and subscribe to my Telegram channel and follow me on Telegram with along with more than 7,800 followers. So very good afternoon, all of you. And now we come to the live markets. Very interesting market day today, right? And of course, you can raise your hands if I ask you something, or if you want to ask any question, feel free to ask questions, right? Okay. So we have the chart of Nifty right in front of us. All the questions which have been just asked will also be catered to, right? So we have the chart of Nifty right now with us. This is the hourly chart of Nifty, right? And we see the daily chart of Nifty as well as the weekly. So first, bring ourselves to the index. Talking about the index, let's talk about the index like always we do. Okay. So there's something very interesting happening over here. Now, in the recent past, and if you have not followed any of these live sessions or videos, you can check out the recent videos on YouTube. The last week live session which I had. Okay. In the recent past, we see that the Nifty has come above a certain zone we were talking about. In that video, I cut open this daily chart into the hourly chart, and we were on this particular time phase where, particularly on this green candle, I was talking about that Nifty should either dip a little bit and keep going forward, and therefore this low would be the stop loss, and the waves and the sub waves which are being shown on the hourly and daily chart seem to be promising for a short-term uptrend. A short-term uptrend that has certainly played out. So in that video, let me take up from where I stopped. Okay, so when I stopped, I opened the hourly and then the 15-minute chart, and I clearly explained that there is this subwave over here which has given me a lot of clues that it is a corrective subwave from here to here. So if this is a corrective subwave, the subwave, the major wave is basically along with the uptrend. So if the correction is on the downtrend, obviously the major wave should be the uptrend. Now, a lot of people ask me this question: how do you trade with Elliott? What is so, now I tell you, everybody, let me be very honest. Elliott, GAN, harmonics, neowaves, and a lot of these kind of things are certainly very, very interesting in the markets. But what happens is that while all this seems very interesting, people tend to forget that you have to understand the physical nature of the price. So what I do is I use certain portion of Elliott and mix it up with other concepts. And if all these things support me towards taking a trade, then I enter taking a trade. So one of the things which supported me as I took this trade was that I did see that there is a entire chance of this, if this is a correction, to let these new highs reach. And at that time we were hovering around these levels. Okay, so when I'm taking it through that concept, my focus is to follow the trend, and therefore I will look at keeping this as the stop loss and entering at any dip and adding if the stock starts working out for me, right? Now the uptrend which happened continued, right? The uptrend which happened continued. It is still continuing. In fact, as we speak, we have just kind of made a dip and gone up back up again in the very short term trend, right? The uptrend is continuing, and that is something which is very, very interesting. Why? Because if we look at the daily chart, if we look at, okay, ignore this box around here. 1 second. Yeah. If we look at the daily chart, okay, only at the daily chart, one thing is very, very clear. One thing is very, very clear that in this daily chart, we see this strong resistance zone which has been taken out today. This strong resistance zone has been taken out today. And how has it been taken out? Has it just been taken out like this, that the market has gone down and gone up and taken out? No, there is a proper structure. And when I say a proper structure, I mean that the market has come back up over here, near a resistance below it. Okay, it has come back up over here. I'll just change my pen color. It's come back up over here, and this resistance has been given a lot of significance by the markets. So the market has tested this resistance again and again, and for after 2 days, okay, and before that there was a dip, 2 days here and 2 days there. This resistance has acted very strongly, and now when this resistance is breaking, then the market is likely to trend higher, and therefore you need to follow the trend with whatever your method of using. I'm just speaking broadly. When you take a trade entry, there can be different methods. And if you really want to know about that, you can definitely join my online course. So anyway, coming back to the market, the thing is that yeah, you follow the trend. Okay. Now one more thing we have to consider in mind is that the weekly charts are very strong, undoubtedly. But we are at a very sensitive area with the market. We are at a very sensitive area at the market. So on the weekly chart if I put, or also in the daily chart if I put, these zones over here are extremely sensitive resistance zones. If the market comes over here, it is very likely that the market can show certain kind of a resistance taking immediately if it comes to around 10,865, 870 zone, or even 850 around that level, which is just 100 points from here. Now what I'm trying to tell you is, according to the wave counts and the indicators which I'm looking at, the market has shown an extreme selling pressure. And what happens is, when there's an extreme selling which has happened, the markets to go back up in a very healthy manner takes time to happen. Therefore, there can be, yes, there can be sharp pullbacks. There can be sharp pullbacks, but those pullbacks may not necessarily be very reliable after a point. So from here till the next 100 points, since there's a strong resistance zone, I'm not saying I'm going to sell. I'm not saying I'm going to sell right now just like this. But yes, since there is a strong resistance zone which is playing out, we need to be a little more careful and on the long side. And we need to have place ourselves in spaces which are showing fresh moves. Okay. Now, the other scenario which can happen, I'm not saying that it can go immediately bearish. The other scenario which can happen, that move can take time. So the up move can take time to build up, to regain its health, because it has not regained a lot of health when it could have made a long, much more time taking basing formation and accumulation. That much health is not there in this trend. If we look at the hourly chart, okay, this is the 15. If we look at the hourly chart of Nifty, I mean, this is okay. This is okay to, at these points, we gave a buy call. Even on Telegram, we spoke about it, right? On Telegram, I mentioned this. You know, I have come on the webinars and I've mentioned about these resistances. All these things are there. But at some level, the reliability of the price structure on the hourly chart is little weak at the moment. And if it has to gain strength, it will need a lot of time correction. And in that case, the movement from here to higher, if it has to go much higher, from here to much higher, would be a slow, steady move. The trend is currently up. From here, another 100 points around or less, we can see the selling pressure that can come about. Okay. Now, weekly chart have seemed to be strong, but then we are against certain weekly candles also, right? That is what I would say. Okay. So keeping that thing in mind, this my view on Nifty is right now slightly getting from bullish towards neutral. So I did expect the subwaves to carry on the trend, and therefore trades alongside were taken also. But the whole point is that the broader picture needs to be kept in mind. Traders who keep the broader picture in mind, they end up becoming slightly more successful in the sense that they can, the surprises the market can give, they can be already judging that from beforehand. So for example, let's take Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty has given trades even before Nifty, and has given certain reliable structure also. Why do I say this? I say this because Bank Nifty on the hourly chart, as I was speaking the other day, over here, this resistance area was taken out. About 3 days back, about 3 days back, there was a small throwback on this area, which made a small hammer pattern. Now you see what I mean by a throwback is that the resistance ends up now acting like a support. So this strong resistance zone, okay, over here, which was there, this strong resistance zone acted like a strong support zone, right? And we saw this happening, that the prices just went in and came back up in the morning. What do I mean by that? That there is a hammer pattern. What does it mean when the prices just go in and come back up? And what can we match it up by? Prices can go in and come back up. There can be a pullback in an ongoing downtrend also. But here, the most important thing is, what was the position of that candle? The position of this candle was that currently, if there is a throwback on the previous resistance level, it is acting like a strong support. A hammer pattern looks something like this, which actually means that the mass public, or the mass psychology, the mass psychological trends and the mass psychological tides that move the market, okay, all together are putting in so much force that the market is rejecting the lower levels. See, alone, me and you cannot make this candle. Within minutes, you cannot make this candle. That means there's so much collective buying happening over here, and so much with so much conviction that it is pushing the prices in a certain way. Okay, so keeping that in mind is very, very important, right? Uh, as far as the Nifty is concerned, we have discussed about it. Okay, yes, there is an ongoing uptrend. And as far as Bank Nifty is concerned, the trend therefore had a breakout much before Nifty. Okay, so we can call this a certain kind of a breakout, which is, a lot of people will like to call it a double bottom. I don't call it a double bottom because it does not match with the rules of the double bottom. Yes, it is more like a cup and handle pattern. Okay. Again, to know more about patterns, you can definitely join the online course. Now, we see these resistance areas were tested and smoothly broken. Now you see that what we just saw on the daily chart, on the hourly chart, is now happening on the daily chart. Earlier, there was a resistance over here, which was tested. One second, guys. Extremely sorry. Yeah. There was a resistance over here, which was tested and then broken out from multiple times. Okay, this line. When the price went above this, it took some time. It took some time, about 6 days of consolidation, so that it could gather more power to break the next resistance. I told you earlier that this point, which is a bearish engulfing candle, you don't just use candles to say that okay, this is a buy now and a sell now. You also use candles to understand that there are major potential resistance and support zones which kick in depending on which candle we are approaching. So I clearly mentioned that the candle we are approaching over here is a daily candle. Now, daily candle can break. Of course, it can break the highs, no problem. It has broken the highs. But before it does show that the price, yes, sellers are there. Sellers are there putting in a pressure. And that has been shown. And intraday, a lot of short trades in those zones in this sideways market was taken. One of my students is excellent in trading intraday. So he takes short-term trades in intraday. And actually many of my students, but this particular guy, he shorted it practically every day out of these. Every day. And after a point, when the range was fully developed, he took position obviously on the long side since the trend had changed to the long. So what I'm trying to get to is that even though it was on the daily chart, the significance was absorbed on the hourly chart. Okay, going back to the hourly chart, the significance was absorbed, and the significance which was absorbed after that 5 or 6 days of sideways movement, later we broke from this small patch of congestion, and then gathered more steam to go higher. So Bank Nifty is what I can say has shown bullishness slightly earlier than Nifty. Both are bullish in the short term, but we need the market, like, because I am not giving this session again tomorrow morning 9:15. Okay, so maybe the next time I see you is tomorrow afternoon. So that is why I'm telling from before. So when we go to the extremes, you see how the market is going there. If there's going with a lot of power towards those extremes, then it will have a different essence. And if it is not going with a lot of power, it will have a different essence. So keep those things in mind when you trade. And of course, currently, since Nifty broke out later and today has taken out highs, currently Nifty is more strong in terms of the kind of trend it is showing, right? And the sustainability of the trend. And this would be about the indexes, some interesting stocks which people have been talking about. Okay, let's start with BEML. Somebody just asked about BEML. Okay, guys, let me just have a check with all of you. How many of you over here have attended a webinar with me previously? Kindly raise your hands, please. Okay, so a lot of new faces we see. You know how to raise your hand? There's a button there to raise your hand. If you have attended a webinar with me, you can raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Great. So many new faces. I welcome you all again. How many of you follow technical analysis and trade on the basis of technical analysis? Please raise your hands. How many of you trade on the basis of technical analysis? Yes. Okay. One person in message also. Okay. So guys, let me just give you a brief up because some questions came in the earlier part of the session and I said I'll take, since they're broader based question, I will take them. So the broader questions are, so what is the best way to take an intraday trade, or which time frame is, two questions were like this, which time frame is the best? So what I can tell you is that, see, markets move perpetually. Day and night are for you and me. Markets are even moving when we are asleep. So the only part about intraday is that this part of the move, number one, this part of the move falls in intraday. So in this long uptrend, each of these vertical lines which you see in this long uptrend are lines defining each day from the other. Okay, defining each day from the other. These are all these lines. Now, while all these lines are there together, okay, you can see that the trend started from here and its immediate high is here. So many moves do follow within the intraday. Many moves follow, like this would be a great intraday trade because an extremely big move, a secular move has started intraday. Okay, and the nature of the moves are perpetually moving markets. So what you trade depends on your knowledge of strategy. If you know the strategy and if the strategy comes about in intraday, yes, you will trade intraday and you can be successful at it. So if you don't know technical analysis strategy, one suggestion, in a December batch you can join. Everybody in India knows this. Technically Sorted is my course, 15 sessions. And I'm not just here for you just to get the course. Okay, I'm anywhere there. You can come to as many free webinars. We keep having so many free webinars, so many free live sessions. But if you seriously want something big from the markets, something you want to develop on, something you want to really focus on in the long term, then I would say that if you want to learn and make consistent money, paying 12,500 rupees for a course is something which is a very good and very value for money investment in your learning. I have learned from the best in the world. I've done the Chartered Market Technician course from MTA USA. Believe me, today a lot of people are just talking about technical analysis or sort of making weird trend lines and not really going and focusing on the details which are very important. That is something which I want people to learn because that is the only way you can actually, until you don't understand the nuts and bolts, it will not be very easy for you to make money in the market. That is all I can say. Yes, it is not very difficult. and I try to make it as simple as possible. In the 15 sessions, the course lasts for about 2 months, little more than 2 months, because Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. And yes, recordings are also available for those who miss a class here and there. So when that is happening, when that sort of discussion is happening and that depth is taking, even the people who are new to this subject can grasp, because we start from a very base level, if you don't know anything about technical analysis, and then we took to the advanced level. In this 2 months, a lot of practice also builds as topics goes by. So that is something you can consider joining the December batch. Now taking the chart of BEML, let's look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart saw an extreme downtrend in the recent past. A lot of messages also had come to me while the markets were falling that they went long on BEML. Nothing wrong with it. Investment is different, trading is different. If you invest, please use the balance sheet. If you trade, don't use the balance sheet, use charts. Okay. And therefore, what I will say is if you are invested in a particular stock and you are convinced with the long-term story, it's a different matter. Markets will move in extremes, always move in extremes. They will go more up than they are required to. They will go more down than they are required to. It is you who has to come and scoop out your fair share of profits. And if you can just do that much from this entire pie altogether, from this entire labyrinth and universe of ocean of stocks and opportunities, if you can just squeeze, just scoop out your fair share of hard work's fruit, it will be a very satisfying trading career. So when these extremes happen, we can see that these extremes have happened in the market, right? This is the particular daily chart. This is the weekly chart. Now in the weekly chart, I can see the RSI has gone till the 20s. Now this is really, really very weak. Okay, really, really very weak when RSI goes below this. Okay. Now, what is the key to understand RSI? RSI is not just overbought and oversold. Sorry, it has got something to do with what I call range shifting also. But there's a way to read it in different time frames. So on the daily chart, the RSI was extremely showing oversold zones. On the weekly chart, I ended up looking at the daily chart RSI, and I started to analyze when the stock was turning around from here. I can see that there is all divergences don't work. Please remember, all divergences don't work. Okay, I will talk about Dabur, no problem. All divergences don't work. Divergences work if they are in red in a you do the correct reading in a particular context. Okay, and there are many different contexts, and people just tend to just see that there's falling markets and there is some this thing. No, stocks can make lower lows, they can make higher highs. No, divergences don't work all the time, and this is a learning process. Earlier I used to think divergences work all the time. It's okay. But in this case, I see a very strong divergence because it is not just about, okay, it is not just about the stock making a low over here. Even before it made a low over here, there was one divergence. So therefore, this divergence falls under this particular down move. Okay. And there is this divergence, which can be comparable not to each of these lows, but to this previous down move. So two time frame or 2 degree of subwaves divergence are there, and then one small divergence are there. These divergences are the most powerful. So are one of the most powerful. The other powerful ones also. They come in different contexts, as I said. So this is extremely bullish. So this is the daily chart when it is now going sideways. So it is extremely bullish and now it is going sideways. Okay. So as it is going sideways, the very tendency after a very strong bullish move is to either have a correction which is deep or a correction which is sideways. Because it should be noted that after an extreme fall, the market has given an extreme rise. Therefore, there has not been any digestion of the losses. There has not been an accumulation process. So the accumulation process can happen now. and it needs time correction to absorb. So my stance on BEML would be sideways to bullish, as well as keeping in mind that these resistances are points which are just near resistances which the market has broken. So until we don't cross these zones, a new bullish fresh trend may not start. But yes, it is likely that we should go higher from here, and let's just wait and watch the markets for that. As I'm speaking, guys, I spoke about the short-term uptrend going on. As I'm speaking, the Nifty is actually moving higher, and the Bank Nifty is stabilized, but it's still Nifty is moving higher. I'm not biased. I'm not biased. I am bullish in the short term, but the next 100 points can be something critical to look forward. Generally, I talk about things when the evidences are there, but right now I'm saying it in a little advance because maybe some interesting things can be seen there. Okay. Uh, this is one of the stories, and definitely, if I just go, somebody asked about the charting software, right? Somebody asked about the charting software. So, guys, this is the Spider software. This is a very professional software, which is which I use, and which is about it's very expensive also. What I say suggest to my students is either you can use the free platforms, and if it falls in your budget, you can take up this charting platform. I personally assure you, if you join the course, all the students get a 20-day free trial of this advanced charting platform where you can set your alerts, etc. also. And of course, it's as easy. Like, for example, I just press groups and I go to the groups. I can simply just go to any group of stocks. And suppose I go to the Nifty 50. Okay. Uh, I'll go here. First stock has come. Now I click the down arrow button and simply I can browse through stocks very quickly. So I can see interesting things happen as I browse stocks very quickly. Okay, somebody asked about Bharti Airtel recently. Okay, so now we're seeing those things happen, which I explained last time. Right, I can browse through very quickly. So certain things are an advantage of advanced software, but I recommend you to use whichever you are comfortable with, and use one which is good and your eyeballs get set to it. And other than that, yes, as much as I can help, for example, this free trial, or if you need to get in touch with someone, so I do that for all my students. Even old students are in touch with me. We keep having these monthly meetings, and that is all for free after the course, right? So that is how it is. I would say just go for anything you're comfortable with. You can get in touch with me also. Mr. Ankit is asking how to shortlist stocks for trading. Should we keep system stop loss? I did not get you. Mr. Ankit, yeah. So I get your point that you are saying that should I keep a stop loss for the entry, like a stop loss buy and a stop loss sell for the entry, right? You can do that. If you have a well-tested strategy, you can do that. Okay. It takes time to build a well-tested strategy because first you have to understand the nuts and bolts of price mechanism, and then if you can build a strategy you feel you are comfortable with, then definitely go ahead. You can put the buy order and sell order, and you can just put the stop loss and may go away from the screen. Like for example, if I took my long positions over here, okay, I put my stop loss a little below here because since futures price can just move a little bit here and there, I took a 10-point buffer and kept a stop loss. And definitely I just let the price move on its own. Okay, so that's not a big deal. You can of course do that, and you can do that with any strategy. Just be particular that whenever you're doing that, okay, your things are well tested. You are well tested your strategies, etc. So coming back to the stocks which I'm sort of scrolling through, the Nifty 50 stocks, let's have a look at them quickly. Which one was interesting in which manner? How many of you are following my YouTube channel? I've spoken about Adani Ports recently in my last week's weekly channel, weekly technical analysis. Right? Some of you are following it. Thank you. Thank you. Great. So yes, again we see it is trended much more, and some people have messaged me that they are finding opportunities in every dip by buying into this. So thank you so much for that. Great guys, that is excellent. We saw that initially there was a false move which was over here, but then either you buy the breakouts or you buy the dips. Either of the strategy is a good way to trade in the markets if you have identified an uptrend. And definitely the rest, as I said, will be according to the strategy you choose. That is more important. More than anything else, the strategy is important. Okay. So we have seen that recently, today we have broken this area and gone 50 points higher. Expected to go higher, but there's a probability, and the area which we are approaching is very interesting. My username on YouTube is Mohak Pachicia. If you are from my, since you are from my Telegram channel, I will share the link of this video over there as well, and definitely you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. All of you who are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for attending. Okay, one person is asking, what if I'm, as I said, the course will have recordings. So Saturday, Sunday recordings, the classes on Saturday, Sunday, the recording will be there for a week for all students. You can make your notes, you can revise again. Yes, we share handouts and I share books, etc. Right? So that all is there. And definitely, you can keep asking me about the course, no problem. But let me just finish the stock Dabur. Somebody asked about it, which is a very interesting chart. So just let me see who asked about Dabur. Okay, okay. Thank you, Mr. Afzal. So he asked about Dabur. So particularly, I think he's trying to mention that what I had discussed, since Mr. Malik is in the session which is currently going on, he found the stock very interesting and perhaps took a trade here also. Then that's a very good thing if we took a trade very here. We had discussed Dabur in our Saturday Sunday session which just went by. I had discussed how Dabur has made some very interesting things which has happened. So this is what is happening here. Let me just cut it open. There is a resistance zone over here, right? There is a resistance zone over here which is broken out. Okay, there are other factors also which are there. So after that, the uptrend has continued. Now, moreover, what is very interesting about Dabur is on the weekly chart. There is a weekly chart over here, and here also there is a very interesting resistance and support zone. Earlier resistance which is now acting like a support zone. So this has taken up, okay. And if I make the same thing on the daily chart, so we see that the power of two time frames is with us. Now, as I said, if something is on a weekly chart, it's very powerful, right, compared to a daily chart. Similarly, when I spoke about Bank Nifty, which something was on the daily chart was powerful for the hourly chart. So therefore, Dabur took a big, strong support there, build a base, and is now continued to move up very nicely. Today itself, it's 3.25% up. Right? Okay, no, we give the 20-day free trial of this. If you want to have a charting platform which is a professional, other than this, we definitely have resources for you. You can get the Ami Broker charting software. Okay, you can get, we can connect with you to correct people, and we can get you things for very value for money. That is not an issue. Okay. Any views on Cipla? Engineers India. Okay, right. Cipla Engineers India. One second. So let's take Cipla. Cipla is so interesting. I love the chart, and I think everybody is asked about Cipla in the recent last few webinars. So we spoke that yes, it has given a descending triangle breakout over here, and on that day I spoke about this pattern with other stocks happening on the smaller time frames also. One of the trades I had taken an intraday with a descending triangle pattern. After the breakout, it is going down, and I personally feel that this trend is strongly down. And I remember having told this last time that when Cipla has gone down so sharply, give it some time to move around and build more price data, so in the smaller time frames you can find some interesting entries. Okay, so I would say that my view is sideways to bearish. I don't see a very strong pullback, but yes, if that happens, it is a wonderful selling opportunity. Why is it a wonderful selling opportunity? Because the wave counts over here depict that the strong moves which came over here were a wave, a 3 of 3. And I'm not getting too much into the Elliott here so that people who are new to technical analysis can understand well. But let me just tell you that this support was also broken out. When I teach my students, I teach them different topics. And all these different topics in one particular trade, certain number of topics actually are showing some signal or the other. That is the right way of trading. Most of the people, when they know I get calls with this, that go to YouTube and Google, etc., try to learn something. They sort of get mixed up. That I want to learn this, I want to learn that. They get mixed up, and somebody saying something about a particular topic, etc. So I personally feel that a structured learning is a very good course of learning. So this course is about structure. So your learning goes from very base level, and layer by layer things are added to it, right? So engineers India, personally no view at the moment. The last time I had a view on engineers India was around this section. Yeah, right, right, okay, yeah. So yes, yes. This is the last time I had a view on Engineers India that I would expect this to show some sort of a resistance to this up move. Okay. Currently, I find the chart a bit noisy to say anything about it. There are mixed evidences over here, and if you look at the weekly chart, just to get the broader picture, we may be at very interesting places. Okay, with Engineers India, you see that there's a very long-term support resistance zone which it has touched. Now, since it's the weekly chart, it's not something you can rely on for intraday or overnight trading, and it's happened 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks back. This support taken, but all I can say is that wait for more price data. I have no view on this stock. I need to be honest, and the markets does give us opportunity time and again, but it's not necessary to have a view or a trade all the time. For those, yes, yes. Thank you. And for those who have tomorrow again, I'll have this session. Okay, no doubt about it. We'll come tomorrow. Tomorrow, be ready at 1:30. Be ready at 1:30. Right here, we'll have a session online. We'll discuss markets again. Okay. And what I would request is, if you feel like asking anything, feel free to. And who want to genuinely join the course, just like this webinar, if you're comfortable with this webinar, okay, if you're comfortable with this webinar, those who are comfortable coming to this webinar, just type in a yes to my chat box, so you can just send me that yes, that you were comfortable entering the webinar. Just say yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Rajkumar. Yes, just message yes, those who are comfortable entering the webinar, right? Mr. Ankit, you are comfortable? Mr. Nagarjuna, you are comfortable? Thank you. Vasudevanji, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Onkar, Mr. Onkar, you were comfortable? Everybody was comfortable? You can type yes. Yes, I'll discuss that stuff. Not an issue. Okay. So if you are comfortable over here, and if you're comfortable viewing the same thing on YouTube and how I share my screen, this is exactly how it happens in the course. Tomorrow I will be here at 1:30. Okay. I will update the timings and everything in your on Telegram tomorrow itself. Please follow my Telegram channel. Try to keep always things not in a spoon feeding way, but in a way everybody can learn. Now Maruti is something which is very interesting. Okay, Maruti as a stock has again, just like the nature of BEML, has given a very extreme down move. Okay, you can see that the RSI, how low it has come to, right? It's come to sub 20 levels, which is extremely low. Here we saw some sort of accumulation happening. Again, it is a step-by-step uptrend. I personally feel it will take uptrend and continue, but it's a step-by-step uptrend. That means that you can trade the dips by buying the dips, and maybe if you feel that there are correct patterns which are available, because ultimately this is a very strong, a very strong fall which has happened. So ultimately, if there is a situation where you get a very big move, not saying that it should reverse and make a new low all the time, but if you get a very big move which is a corrective move, maybe you can sell the highs also. So the strategy here would be to buy the dips, the sharper dips, and wait for the strategy to come about in that zone of the sharper dip. Okay, I feel that is a very good strategy for Maruti. Currently, I would not say there is an entry point, but this is my view that okay, you can think from the long side in Maruti. That is my personal view. Why again is because I track this stock pretty nicely and pretty clearly. Right here, we have seen that there is a resistance which has broken out. Okay, so I want the price to sort of digest the gains and see what more it can do after the resistance is broken out. So I feel that would be a very clear idea on Maruti. Nifty is continuing to go higher as we speak, and definitely the bullish view on it has been working out. I'm just looking forward for the next 100 points and it to reach to the see what happens is the major points, the major interaction zones, like here, like all these lines which are made, they both attract and repel the price. Okay, so they're attracting the price and going towards it right the moment. The time when it comes around this area would be very interesting to see. You can take a window from 8,000, 10,000, 850 to 900, 920. This window you can take. This will be very interesting. Okay. So guys, thank you so much. If you have any questions other than, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, if you want to get in touch with me regarding, if you want my team to set up a call with you, or if you want my team to contact you, and then if you want to talk to me, you can just type in your number over here, and the course content, etc., will be shared with you as well. Only those who are interested in the course, and it's okay. It's not necessary for you to be interested in the course. Yes, Mr. Ankit, you can type in your number. My team will get in touch with you. The course contents will be shared. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So two people have sent their number. Great. Okay. Right. So anybody else just feels like you can just type in your number. No problem. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Updates on Telegram will be there. Thank you so much for coming today. I had a wonderful time and hope you did too. Thank you again. And keep learning, keep growing, and we'll keep seeing each other. Thank you so much. This video will also be on YouTube after some time. You will get the link in the Telegram channel. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Take care. Good night.